Let me out of baby, let me out of
He would take his chest hair off.
Well, this Sunday, of course, it is Father's Day, and here's some alarming numbers. Did you know that 1 out of 6 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer? Well, our next guest is trying to take care of those numbers and bring them down. He is Dr. David Samadi, the Chief of Robotic Surgery at Mount Sinai School of Medicine up in New York City. Dr. Samadi, thank you very much for the time. We appreciate it. How are you?
Thank you very much, and thank you for the invitation.
Well, of course, it is Men's Health Month, so we're trying to promote men's health around here, and we're talking about prostate awareness and prostate cancer. What are some of the warning signs out there we should all be aware of?
Well, prostate cancer for men, the other name for it is really the silent killer. So there are really no signs or symptoms with men that are being diagnosed with prostate cancer. And the symptoms are very general and very vague. And unfortunately, by the time the men come up with the symptoms, the cancer is already spread out. Prostate cancer, when it's diagnosed early on and when it's organ confined and it's caught early, has over 90% cure rate. So you hear about men getting up in the middle of the night, or they may have some blood in their urine, they may have some blood in their ejaculates, but those are not very specific to prostate cancer, so there are really no specific signs and symptoms for prostate cancer, and that's why it's recommended for men for Father's Day to get out and get their prostate checked with a blood test and examination.
But Doc, how do you get a guy who's maybe a professional athlete like we have on the show, or just men in general who think they're in great, perfect physical shape? How do you convince them that even you know, guys, there still is that silent killer? There could be a silent killer present.
Well, that's an excellent question, because prostate cancer does not discriminate against athletes or healthy guys. And even patients who have had absolutely healthy diet, they work out, they do their everyday exercises, and they take vitamins, even those make up the majority or could be part of the men who come up with diagnosis of prostate cancer. So it's important to really get your blood test and get examined. And even though exercise and healthy diet is important, that by itself is not going to save you from getting prostate cancer.
Doctor, we seem to be making terrific strides over the last 10 to 15 years, and I understand we now have robotic prostate surgery. What is this all about?
It's an interesting concept. As you can see in the images, the surgeon sits at a distance from the patient. Our background, my background, is in open surgery, and we've moved on to laparoscopic surgery and finally to robotic surgery. So I sit at a distance from the patient. We're using these high-tech cameras in order to do the same traditional surgeries that we used to do, except there's no blood in the field. We have a much better visualization, and we can see the nerves that are responsible for sexual function and continence. And now in 2008, we're going for the quality of care for men who are diagnosed with prostate cancer. So the concept of survival, which was a common word being used years ago for prostate cancer, in my opinion, in 2008 is not acceptable anymore. We want to cure the men with a great quality of life, which is the sexual function and the continence. So we use the technology of the robot. We do the remote control surgery, which gives us the magnification and a much more precise and accurate operation for men with prostate cancer.
How much does this new procedure cut down on recovery? And, you know, how fast can a guy get his life back in gear and get back to work?
Well, typically, they spend in the operating room. Of course, everything we talk about is really the surgeon's dependent. It's not just the technology dependent. It's important for patients to know that it's the driver behind these robotic surgeries. Surgeons have to have the large volume of cases and have to have the appropriate training. But once you have that, typically patients spend about an hour to an hour and a half in the operating room. They get discharged from the surgery within 24 hours. The blood loss is minimum, the recovery is faster, and most importantly, for men, there are 3 things that's important: cancer cure rate, control of urination, and sexual function. And in 2008, we were able to provide that for men. So there's absolutely hope after prostate cancer. And when you hear the word cancer for men, it's tragic. These are men in their 40s and 50s that are successful in whatever they're doing, and next thing you know, they go for examination or blood test, and they hear the word cancer. So we are able to help them, and there's absolutely hope after prostate cancer.
Dr. David Samadi, we appreciate all the time and the insight. RoboticOncology.com if you guys have any questions out there. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.